Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Wonder Woman Simmer. Today we're going to be talking about the complete first season of Gotham. This is going to be a very long one, so get a drink, get a snack, and sit back and enjoy. So the first episode deals with Martha and Thomas Wayne, which is Bruce Wayne's parents. They do get murdered, so we start off with there, and we get to see Detective Gordon, but a very young Detective Gordon, and we get to see Harvey Bullock. So they are the first responders on the case, and Detective Gordon makes a promise to Bruce Wayne that he's gonna find out who kills them. Eventually, they do find out who kills them. They thought it was, at the time, it was Poison Ivy's dad, but that was really a patsy set up by Fish Mooney. Fish Mooney is one of Don Falcone's, right-hand man, so to speak, in the word, and Jim Gordon finds this out, and he's like, I'm not doing this, I'm not gonna tolerate no corruption in the police force, and he tries to right the wrong, but eventually it kind of bites him in his ass, and eventually Fish Mooney's I don't want to say servant, but it's Penguin. He snitches to the other police force and tells Fish Mooney what she does, and eventually Fish Mooney was going to kill Penguin, going to kill Gordon and kill Harvey to try to undo everything that she did. But eventually Don Falcone stops Butch, which is Fish's Mooney's person, her left-hand man, so to speak. Don Falcone stops him, and he told Jim, I knew your father, he got with the program, meaning he dealt with corruption, he knew how to jump and how high and stuff like that. So he told him you have to kill Penguin, and Harvey said you have to kill Penguin to let people know that you're with the program, and Gordon said if I don't, he was like, then I'm supposed to walk you down to the docks and put a bullet in your head and in Penguin's head. So Detective Gordon goes and tries to shoot Penguin, but he doesn't shoot him. He just pushes him into the sea, and to Harvey it looked like he actually killed him, and that was the complete episode of season 1. Episode 1. Why did I say season 1? Episode 2 is Selena Kyle. A child trafficking ring preys on Gotham street kids, including Selena Kyle, who proves herself to be quite a cat-like survivor. Penguin resurfaces into the countryside and makes his way back to the city, leaving victims in his wake. So this particular episode is kind of like the doll maker. He's a Gotham character. I don't know too much about him, but at the particular time, they were just abducting healthy street kids. They would there was two people, there was a man and a woman. They would come up and be like, hey, we're from the mayor's outreach program, we came to give you sandwiches. And after they would the street kids would take the sandwiches, she would stab them with a pen, put them into a truck, and ship them off. And they tried to get Selena, but that really didn't happen, and Detective Gordon kind of jumps in and tries to solve the mystery of it. Eventually they do stop the people that are trying to kidnap and abduct street kids. And after Penguin survives his little dip in the lake, well, not really dip in the lake, after he survives, he comes back and he tries to work for the other Don, I think his name is Don Maroney. There's Falcone and then Don Maroney. I think his name is Don Maroney. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He kind of works up to that, so he works in anybody that notices him, he kills. So the first thing he does is he tries to hitch a ride, and then one of the kids that picked him up said you kind of look like a penguin. He murdered the kid, kept the second kid, tried to ransom him because he was kind of a preppy rich guy, and the parents didn't believe him that he had the kids, so he murdered him, used the money, there was a guy that recognized him. He was like, oh, you're a penguin, like I can get a reward for you, you're supposed to be dead, I'm gonna take you to the fish mooney. And eventually he kills him and he gets a job. He tries to get a job at a restaurant, just washing dishes and things like that. And the guy that he was trying to get the job from, he was like, we're not really taking anyone. And he was like, okay. And he follows one of the guys that washes dishes and asks, what size are you? And he was like, I'm a size 9. And then he murders him, takes his job and his shoes. So episode 3, The Balloon Man, this is kind of like a start of the first actual like vigilante. The Balloon Man is basically going after corrupt people, corrupt politicians, corrupt policemen, everything. And a vigilante is killing corrupt Gotham citizens by attaching them to a weather balloon. Penguin returns home to Gotham and quickly works his way up to his new job close to crime lord Salvatore Maroni. So his name was Maroni. So I kind of explained the whole Penguin situation, but yeah, the Balloon Man, finds corrupt people in Gotham and attaches them to weather balloons. So the thing with weather balloons, eventually they are gonna pop. So that's just a horrible death. Episode 4, Arkham. An old friend visits Gordon with a warning of war. A citizens' council vote on Arkham's district's future. Near politicians on both sides of danger. Fish Mooney holds an audition for a weapon, and Penguin tries to get promoted. So in this particular episode, I think both of the crime bosses are trying to get a piece of Arkham. And the thing with Fish Mooney is she's trying to take over Don. I think his name is the other Don. Not Maroni, but oh my god, the Dons are so confusing. But the first Don, she's trying to like corrupt him. She's trying to take over his place. So she's trying to find out a way to do that. And that particular episode, she's trying to find a woman that can sing, that has a certain look, to like sway the Don into like leaving. So episode 5, Vibrant New Street Drugs cause a euphoria, super strength, and death, and many to be linked to Wayne Enterprises. Penguin works his way deeper into Maroni's confident. Okay, so this episode is a person that was working at Wayne Enterprises engineered this sort of drug that gives you super strength abilities. But the catch is it only lasts for a day and eventually you do die. So this drink, it's kind of hard to explain. You have to drink a lot of milk to sustain your strength, but you can't consume enough milk so your body does die. And Jim Gordon and Detective Harvey Dent tried to stop it. Episode 6, Spirit of the Goat. Deadly deja vu. A killer targets the firstborn of Gotham's late triggers Bullock's haunted memories of an early case. And Renee and Corpus move to arrest Gordon for the Penguin's murder. So this particular part is kind of important. So the Spirit of the Goat is one of like Harvey Denton's cases with his old partner. So the goat usually has like this sacrifice where he always kidnaps the firstborn, and it's always the woman that the goat targets. And it's kind of like a sore spot for Harvey because he killed the goat the first time. Now, talking about Renee and Alan, They're from another detective agency, what I was talking about when Penguin tried to snitch on Fish Mooney. So after they didn't hear, they heard word that like Gordon killed him, and Renee is very important because we do get to meet Barbara. I don't know why I forgot about this. Barbara and Jim are together. They're in a relationship. In this particular thing, Barbara is an art. She's kind of like a high class society dame. She works with like art and things like that. And her and Renee were together in a previous relationship. And Renee kind of tells Barbara, like, I think that Gordon has killed Penguin. You should stay away. Has he said anything to you? Tries to grill her for information. And Barbara's like completely dismissive. Like, I know Jim, he would never do something like that. You're tripping. Eventually, they do figure out who the goat is. It is a psychiatrist that helps a lot of troubled people with their problems, and she decided to hypnotize them and do like the killing of the goat and like sacrificing, people, which is pretty sick. I don't know why she did that, but that's pretty much that episode. Episode 7 is The Penguin's Umbrella. The war between Maroni and Carmine Falcone escalates with Jordan and everyone's crosshairs. The Penguin plays Golden Goose to manipulate the situation. Unfortunately, the loner Gordon finds unexpected allies. So in this particular series, Penguin works his way to Maroni. Like, he used to be the dishwasher, then he became the manager of the place that he was washing dishes because there was this shootout and he saved the money, and Maroni was grateful. He was like, you're not gonna wash dishes anymore, you're gonna be like the owner. And secretly, the thing with Penguin is that he was playing Carmine's side. So like, Carmine was gonna kill him for like snitching, but he was like, let Jim Gordon kill me, because if Jim Gordon kills me, he won't kill me, if that makes sense. You order him, Jim Gordon, to kill me, I know he won't kill me because he's a good man, and for that I will be your snitch. I will go over to Maroni and be his golden goose, so to speak, but I will always answer to you. And that kind of like sums up that. Episode 8, The Mask, when someone is found beaten to death, Gordon and Bullock follow the case into a high finance area with a warrior-like job selected process. Bruce Wayne returns to school, where he also has a fight into his hands. So this is kind of the episode where, this is a weird episode. I can't remember the name of the guy that did this, but this was kind of like a finance company where they kind of like, they have the interview and then they get into cages where they fight sometimes to the death to figure out like who's gonna get hired and like who's gonna get a promotion. And it's very sick, and I don't know why the owner of the place does that, but he does that, and Gordon and Harvey tried to stop him. The other part about Bruce Wayne is kind of like, Alfred tries to tell him to get back into school, like, you need to go to school, you need to be with kids your own age and experience things. And there was this kid that was just the absolute worst. He was talking about, he was like, hey Brucey, how's it going? Like, did your mom die? Did your dad die? Yeah, did you see everything? He was just being really a big jerk about the whole situation. And he confronts Bruce again in the hallway, and he was like, your mother. And then Bruce smacked him. He said, don't ever talk about my mother again. And it kind of cuts there. So I'm assuming the guy that was hassling Bruce, they get into an altercation. It doesn't really show, but like when Alfred goes to pick him up, he sees his face and he's like, who did that? It doesn't matter. And he was like, tell me what happened. Someone speak ill of my mother. He was like, did you knock your teeth in? And he was like, no, he's bigger than me, I'm not a fighter, don't tell anyone. And Alfred goes, takes Bruce not home, but he takes him to the little boy's house and gives Bruce like his father's watch, and he says, like, go, you don't have to do this, but here. Bruce knocks on to the door and just starts putting like his father's watch into his hand and just starts beating the boy. And Alfred was like, okay, that's enough, Bruce. And the guy was like, oh my god, did you see what he did? He tried to kill me. And Alfred was like, yeah, I let him try. So remember that when you want to like speak ill about his parents. Episode 9, Harvey Denton. The Vance Wayne case. Gordon meets ADA Harvey Dent. Explodes, rocks Gotham thanks to a bomb maker. Selena visits Wayne Manor, and Penguin drops on Liz. So in this particular episode, they're trying to figure out who really did kill. Gordon is still on his secret mission to figure out who killed Wayne, because episode 2, Selena, I think she did drop the name. She was like, I was in the alley when I saw the boys' parents get killed, and he was like, okay, we need to send you to a sketch artist, we need you to put you in protective custody. And he asked Alfred and Bruce like, hey, can Selena stay here? She's like a key witness in solving the murder and things like that. And about this time, Renee kind of, I don't know if they found Penguin or not, but I think they did in that episode. But regardless of that, Renee and her partner go to Gordon and say, hey, if you want to solve the case, you need to take it to the DA. We know someone that's a very lawful man. We're going to try to push this case. And they kind of do that, and Gordon tries to get Harvey to push the case and try to like reopen it and everything else. 10, Lovecraft. Selena leads a new friend on a perpetuous urban journey to evade the assassins on her trail. Those same killers also have no love for Denton's murder suspect. Gordon gambles and gets him reassigned to Arkham. So that episode 10, is basically Harvey leaks information about who the like key witnesses in like the murder case. They thought the person that killed Bruce's parents was like Dick Lovecraft, and because him and Bruce's parents didn't see eye to eye, they were always like, they didn't really like each other. And Harvey Dent thought that he had something to do with it, and he did leak the name of Jim Gordon and Selena Kyle, and some assassins tried to kill her to prevent her from telling her side of the story. So it kind of happens like this big shootout at Wayne Manor. Alfred tries to hold them off, and then Selena tells Bruce like, we gotta go. They went into the city and try to make it on their own. And eventually the mayor finds out about this, and he was like, I told you to stop looking into the Wayne case, you didn't listen. I told you to kill Penguin, you didn't. So now you're gonna be assigned to Arkham. So that's where that situation is. And I forgot to tell you guys, but like in one of those episodes, I think it was like Penguin's umbrella, or the first or second episode, he was trying to like go after the mayor. He was trying to go out for Maroni and Falcone and exploit the corruption, and Barbara wasn't having it. She was like, you need to let me in on your life, because she kept grilling Gordon about, did you kill him? He was like, no. She's like, I want half of your life. And then he tried to go after Don Falcone and the mayor for the corruption, and Don Falcone was like, if you go after me, I'm gonna kill Barbara. And Harvey was like, he doesn't have Barbara, he's lying. And Gordon gave up, and Barbara was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And she couldn't take the whole like serious situation of Jim's his job, so she kind of left him. And technically Gordon is kind of single. So episode 11, Rogues Gallery. Gordon's Arkham Asylum assignment gets off to a crazy start when an inmate dies, and he and Dr. Leslie Tompkins team up to unmask the killer. Penguin experiments on Hobbs fish pull strings, and Selena gives Ivy shelter. So about this episode, Selena has been to kind of like Barbara's house because when Gordon found out about the Wade case, he was like, you can stay here. At this particular time, like, Gordon kind of like lives at Arkham because he never really gets to leave. So Selena and Ivy kind of like shack up in Barbara's home, and at this particular time, Gordon meets Dr. Tompkins. He realizes that the people in Arkham are getting shock treatment, and they're kind of like a vegetable. And Dr. Tompkins, which is a very beautiful woman that is played by Morona, I can't think of her name, but if you guys have watched Deadpool's like girlfriend, that's who she's played by. And they kind of like get to know each other a little bit and try to solve the case of like who's like treating these people like that. And episode 12 is What the Little Bird Told Him. To get his job back, Gordon tackles Arkham's escapee and derages the electrocutioner. Falcone's empire is threatened after Fish makes her next move. So this particular episode, Jim is kind of like gave the commissioner, which is higher than the I think like the lieutenant, he tells him like, you know what, he's like, I know who did this. The guy that was in Arkham was treating these people with shock therapy. Like, if you give me like 48 hours, I can get him. And if I get him, you have to reinstate me as a police officer. And he was like, you have 24 hours to solve the case or you're back at Arkham. So him and Harvey Dent kind of like race to the clock to figure out who did it. And about this time, about Falcone, Fish's secret weapon was a woman, and this was a woman that looked a lot like Don Falcone's mother, and he has a very special place with his mother. She dresses a certain way, kind of like 1920s. She has like a short haircut. She dyed her hair. She sings opera, and she kind of used that to her advantage to soften him up. So with that being said, like, she gives him to the old man. They kind of like accidentally like meet at the park, and he was like, oh my god, I love your aria or Carmen or whatever opera song that was. And they start to have a relationship, but not like a romantic relationship. It's just like you cook and clean, and he keeps her on as like I don't want to say like a maid, but like a maid and a companion. And Fish kidnaps her, and she's like, okay, if I kidnap her, I can ransom out, then he can move, and then I could like slip in and like take his place. So welcome back, Jim Gordon, episode 13. When a homicide witness dies while being questioned by the police, Gordon just won't let it be, and looks like it's going to be his old pal to get the information. Nor will Bruce let go of his friendship with Selena. Penguin takes over Fish's prized possessions. So at this particular moment, Jim solves the like executioner mission, and he is reinstated. And the thing about Celine and Bruce kind of has a crush on Celine, and Celine is kind of like, she'll let you in, then she'll push you out. She'll let you in, she push you out. And Bruce is not really giving up on Selena, so that's that situation. And Penguin takes over Falcone's situation, because Penguin was very wise at the situation. I think it was like a few episodes back that he pays Eliza, his Falcone's like maid, kind of like companion, a visit, and he realizes that her and Fish were in cahoots, and they were planning it. And he warns Don Falcone, like, Fish got a woman that looked just like your mom, so she could like take over, so she could like manipulate you, make you soft, so she could take over your organization. And Falcone was like, no, that never happened. And he was like, just think about it, I've never been wrong about anything. And he was like, yeah, that's true. So he kills Eliza, and he has Victor Sass, which is Don Falcone's right hand hitman, and tries to kill Fish and Butch, which is Fish's left hand man. And Falcone gives Fish's business and territories towards to Penguin as like a thank you, like you're always right. The Fearsome Dr. Crane, episode 14. Fish's prompts Maroni to test Penguin's loyalty while crushing force. Bruce releases Gordon from his promise, and Gordon and Bullen hunt a killer to target victims whose paralysis are brought on by scare, life, and then death. So this particular episode, that Fish escapes Falcone's like goons and warns Maroni, the other Don, that like Penguin is working with Falcone, you should be wise to this. And Maroni's like, okay, like he takes heed to her warning. And with Gordon and Bullock, there is this guy that targets people with fear. So like if there's a guy that has a fear with pigs, so he puts him in a room with the pig, then he literally, at the height of his fear, he kills them and takes his like pheromones, I think that's what it's called, like your glands when you get really scared, so he can produce an serum. So that's that episode. It's kind of basically the Scarecrow's father. So that's the father that would do that, because he was trying to cure himself of fear, but it gets a little bit in depth in the next episode, episode 15, Scarecrow. Biology teacher Grandel Crane harvests the adrenal glands of his murdered victims towards a mind-altering end, and Fish continues to plot her ways, and Falcone attempts to change Maroni's plans for Penguin. So at this particular moment, that you kind of get introduced to the Scarecrow, but it's his father that came up with the idea of like trying to cure him of fear and things like that, and that kind of like goes with like the fear serum. And Jim and Harvey tried to stop him from killing people, and Maroni kind of like puts Penguin into this test. They went to like this camp, and then he kind of like confronts Penguin and said like, hey, I know you've been working with Falcone, and he tries to kill him. He puts him in a car and tries to crush him. Penguin slithers out, and he runs to Falcone, and Maroni was like, Penguin has to die because this is like an ultimate level of betrayal. I can't have him running around spreading my secrets and things like that. And Falcone was like, okay, like there's this district attorney that has locked up a lot of your people. I'll let you kill him and $200,000, and we like call it square. And Maroni kind of like calls it square after that. Episode 16, The Blind Fortune Teller. So this is the episode where Jim and Lee kind of get together. Dr. Tompkins get together. They're sort of like dating at this point. The blind teller, a date night at the circus, turns into an ugly case of murder and family dysfunction. Falcone enlists Butch Gelzine to help Penguin with his nightclub. When Fish bonds with a new family friend, Bruce Wayne meets the Wayne Enterprises board. So at this particular time, let me take a breath. Gordon and Lee are dating, and they go to like this date night circus, and the circus turns out into like a brawl with the acrobats and the clowns like literally going at each other for particularly no reason, and they try to solve the murder of like who killed the woman, which was a performer at the circus. And one family was like, he killed her because they were both sleeping with the same woman, and they were trying to figure out which family did it, but at the end of the day, neither of the family killed it. It was her son that killed him, and her son is, I can't think of what his name is, but he's going to be the Joker. I can't think of what his name is. Jamal or Jerome. That's his name, Jerome. And he kills his mother. And Victor Saz, which is Don Falcone's right-hand man, he messes with Butch Gelsine's mind and kind of like puts him, I don't want to say slave, but kind of like makes him his servant so he can like help Penguin back on the club, because Penguin is burning the club and it's not doing so well. So Falcone Butch Gelsine enlists him to help with the club. Episode 17, The Red Hood, Unexpected Violations, Visitations. The Red Hood gang goes on a bank robbing spree. Alfred Pennyworth's ex-military buddy, Reginald Payne, shows up at the Wayne Manor. Selena continues to bond with Barbara. Keene and Fish goes to extreme lengths to meet with her captors. So at this particular moment, the Red Hood gang is kind of like an iconic like story, like whoever gets the Red Hood. So whoever gets like the Red Hood feels invincible. So basically, there was like 5 people that would like rob banks. So the person that had the Red Hood, he felt invincible. He would give money to the poor. It's kind of like a Robin Hood situation, and the people that were in the gang would kill people. They killed the other guy for the hood, and then the other guy would raid the hood, and then the other guy would kill him and take the hood, and so on and so forth, until Harvey and his partner try to stop him from doing that. And at this particular moment, Barbara comes back home. She left Jim and she was with Renee, and Renee was like, we're toxic together, we can't be together, you need to go back home. And so she goes back home and she realizes that Selena and Ivy are living in her house, and she's pretty cool with the whole situation. After that, Fish Mooney escapes Gotham and she leaves town for a while, and she gets captured, and she's captured by people that harvest other people's organs, and she runs the place, and she tries to like run the place. Episode 11, Everyone Has a Cobblepot. While Gordon investigates the corruption activities of Commissioner Loeb, Fish aligns with the prisoners in questions when she allies with Dr. Francis. Bruce deals with the aftermath of attacking up close. So when Bruce's military friend like comes in, Bruce was kind of like investigating the murder of his parents and inconsistencies with Wayne Enterprises. So he kind of like went to the board a couple of episodes and said like, I found some inconsistencies in there. I feel like you guys gave part of my company to Falcone and Maroney and and then the Wayne company hires Alfred's close friend to like investigate. So originally Alfred thought he was stealing, but he was taking files from Bruce Wayne's house and giving it back to like saying like, here's what the boys got. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's not concrete evidence, it's just kind of like stuff. And with the aftermath of that, Bruce kind of goes and confronts him and says like, hey, why did you do this? Why did you hurt Alfred? And he was like, this is just business. And he brings Selena with him, and he was like, no. Alfred's friend is on pain medication, so Selena takes the bag and says like, I'll let her throw it out if you don't tell me what I need to know. He told him who hired him, why he did it, and everything else, and Selena dropped the bag. The bag landed on like one of those stair things, the fire hydrant things that you go up and down like on the building. I can't think of what it's called, but And afterward, he was like, after what you did, I'm gonna tell Wayne Enterprises all you know. And Bruce was going to push Alfred's friend, but he didn't have the nerve, and Selena killed him. Selena pushed him. Okay. On that particular note, with Commissioner Loeb, Loeb has like a very secret drawer about like everybody, and Harvey was like, you don't go against Commissioner Loeb, he has dirt on everyone. And he was like, including you, Harvey. Harvey was like, what did you do? He was like, not everyone has a cobblepot, like he has killed someone to, you know, like be with the program and everything like that. So that kind of sums up that episode. Beast of the Prey. Gordon and Bullock catch a cold case involving the Org, a serial killer who targets young women. Fish plots to escape from the Dollmaker's Island. Bruce and Selena confront Reggie. Oh, that was that part where I told you like they confront Reggie about like who did it. That's that episode. And with Book and Gore, Professor Loeb told him like, you should not investigate me by any means necessary. And Jim, being the Boy Scout that he wants, that he is, trying to like rid the world of evil, he didn't listen. So Commissioner Loeb sent a police officer like this case of the serial killer, the Org or whatever it's called, or Igor, or the Org or whatever it's called. And the story behind this is like a serial killer where he dates people, brings them back to his place, and then he tries to have like the perfect relationship. And if it's not the perfect relationship, he kills the women and he sends like a card. And the officer that gave Gordon the case was like, hey, this is a missing persons case, I want you to look into it. And Gordon didn't know at the time that it was a serial killer case, and a lot of people don't talk about it because if the cops get too close, the Org will kill one of his loved ones. So a person that he's dating, whether it be your wife, your mother, your child, your kids, not really kids, but like kids that are like, you know, in their 20s or something like that, he'll do that. So the cops lay off of him, and Gordon kind of finds that out the hard way, and he thinks that the Igor is gonna go after Lee because he's dating Lee at that particular time. So episode 20, Under the Knife. The Org makes his move on someone close to Gordon, and Bruce and Selena team up to expose the corruption of Wayne Enterprises employee. And Edward Nygma comes to Kirsten's defense forcefully. So at this particular episode, he thinks that the Igor, or whatever his name is, the serial killer, I just call him the serial killer. The serial killer thought he was going to go after Lee, but he actually went after Barbara because he read in like an old newspaper that him and Barbara were like together, so he goes after her instead of Lee. This particular moment, Selena and Bruce go to like this Wayne banquet, and she was like, I'm gonna pickpocket the guy that hired Reggie, and we're gonna like go into his vault and see what he knows and things like that. That didn't really go as planned. And Edward Nygma is the forensic scientist in the GCPD, and Edward Nygma is the Riddler, but he doesn't really know it, and he's kind of like an odd man, and he kind of has this Mrs. Kriegel. He has a crush on Mrs. Kriegel, and Mrs. Kriegel dates guys that are not nice to her. This guy that she was dating would put his hands on her, would be in an abusive relationship, and Nygma confronted the guy that was being abusive to her and said like, if you don't stop, and he was like, where else? And Nygma kills him. Episode 21, The Alvid or the Hammer. The Eager's mind, Barbara is the one, forcing Gordon and Bullock to go to great lengths to rescue her. Penguin pulls the trigger on a mob war, and Bruce learns the truth about Wayne Enterprises, and Nygma cleans up after himself. At this particular point, the ogre, I think that's his name, the ogre goes after Barbara, and he's convinced, like, he finds out that they're not actually dating, but he's like, Barbara says something that sets him off, that thinks that he's the one, so he captures her, keeps her there, and they're trying to figure out, Harvey and Gordon try to figure out where she is at that particular time, and about the guy that Selena pickpocketed. He finds out that he knows that he broke into his office and he was trying to steal some documents, and he let him know, like, hey, to be this rich, you have to do certain things. Your grandfather knew this, your father knew this, and things like that. So Bruce kind of finds the truth out about that, and the whole thing with Penguin pulling the trigger on the war. He sets up a hitman to kill Maroni, and it fails, and Maroni, like, the bullets get, like, stuck or jammed, if you will, and he realizes that the hitman that he said to hit Maroni was like, hey, Don Falcone says, you know, this is business, but I have to kill you, and then Maroni thinks that Falcone is trying to put a hit on him, and it starts this war. Episode 22, all happy families are like, the mob board reaches the flashpoint when Falcone is marked for death. Fish returns to stop the show and gets payback. Barbara's therapy. Lee is in danger, and Bruce searches for clues about his father's legacy. So at this particular point, I'm so out of breath. At this particular point, they do find Barbara, and Lee checks her out, makes sure she's doing okay, but she's like, you need, like, trauma therapy, and she was like, hey, you should be, like, the person to do it. At first she was, like, hesitant because, like, this is Jim Gordon's ex-girlfriend, but she does it anyways. At this particular point, Maroni has been hitting Carmine Falcone's businesses a lot harder, so a lot of people are, like, siding with Maroni and saying that, like, hey, he's old, we should, like, take him now. And Fish escapes, like, the dollmaker's, like, lair and goes back to Gotham right in time. She captures Don Falcone and says, like, Maroni, like, we should be a partner, and he was like, I'm number one, you're number two, and she agrees to do that, and he just called her sweet cheeks or something like that, and Fish Mooney kills him and takes over, and then Penguin tries to kill Fish, which he kind of does. Penguin pushes Fish off like a ledge and becomes, like, the quote-unquote king of Gotham, and Lee kind of finds out that Barbara is crazy. So at this episode, she was talking about, like, you need to talk about, like, what happened, what did he do to you, and things like that, and Barbara was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. She kind of, like, dances around the situation, and she realizes that the serial killer, the detectives thought, and Lee thought, that the serial killer killed her parents, which they were wrong. Barbara actually killed him. And Lee and Barbara, like, kind of, like, fight to the death. And with Bruce, when he leaves the office after the guy tells him, like, you know, the truth about the company, he leaves and he finds, I can't think of what his name is, this guy that says, like, your father is a real stoic, and he hid his truth behind, he would never let people see, like, the real him, and he gave him, like, a hint that, like, oh, his father might have tried to stop this or something like that. And he kind of looks into it, and he finds, like, a book that refers to him as stoic, and finds kind of, like, not really the Batcave, but like a button that opens up the fireplace, and that's kind of like the end off there. I am so out of breath. So that's pretty much of Gotham season 1. I'm so out of breath. So let me know if I missed anything. What was your favorite episode? And Tell me what you guys think of season 1. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That was a lot to take in. So, update on this channel. The second thing I'm going to be doing is going to be like doing Wonder Woman, like the 70s version. That review is going to be coming up later on this week. It might be like next week that it's going to be coming up. Again, it is Superman's 80th birthday, and there's 3 days. So on Player versus Player, to get like some fragments of Superman, I'm going to be doing that as well. Day 2 is probably going to be going up either today or tomorrow, depending on which this is going to come out. And I'm going to do like the last episode of Batman Telltale either sometime next week. And that's pretty much it. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be touching more on season 2 of The Flash, season 2 of Arrow, season 2 of Gotham, and touching on Wonder Woman season 1, 2, and 3, because that's as far as it goes. So yeah, guys, I appreciate you for watching. Thanks for staying true to the end. You're a trooper, and thank you for 180 subscribers. I do appreciate this. Bye.